Hey, Angel here for mynexttablet.com. Today with an unboxing of the Huawei MediaPad T510. Alright, I've got the Huawei MediaPad T510 in front of me. It's just available in Germany. It has been announced for Europe so far, and in Europe you can get it for 199 euros with 2 GB of RAM and 16 GB of storage, and 229 euros for 3 GB of RAM and 32 GB storage. However, not both versions are not always available in all countries. For example, in Germany, you can only get the 3 GB and 32 GB version as of now, and that's the one that I have. I'm sure it will be announced for the United States and Asia soon, but yeah, right now, when I'm shooting this unboxing video, that hasn't happened yet. However, Huawei took quite some time to bring the MediaPad M5 series to the United States and Europe, and I'm sure this will take a couple of weeks, a couple of months maybe as well, but it should be available almost worldwide in the future. Alright, let's start the unboxing of the MediaPad T5. It is the successor to the MediaPad T310 from last year that I reviewed last year. You can check it out on this channel. And yeah, compared to last year, it obviously has been improved a bit. And a major improvement is the display. In the previous one, the MediaPad T310, we only had an HD resolution, but now we're getting a full HD resolution. And that's quite important because last year Amazon introduced the Amazon Fire HD10 for a very compelling price with a full HD resolution, and that kind of didn't make a lot of sense to get the MediaPad T310, at least not if you were living in a country where you can get Amazon tablets. But this year, it's much more competitive. Alright, let's go around the tablet a bit. We've got a 2 megapixel front-facing camera here, then the 10.1 inch Full HD display. On the back, we've got a 5 megapixel camera and the Huawei logo, and you can see that there's a little bit of plastic on the top here, but the back plate is actually aluminium and it feels quite nice. However, the body is not completely made of aluminium. First of all, there's a plastic strip here on the top, but also the bezel, it goes from metal to plastic and then to the glass. So there's kind of a small plastic bezel around the tablet. That's very similar to the MediaPad T310 from last year, so the design is almost identical. This one is just a bit bigger, I believe, because the MediaPad T310 actually had a 9.6 inch display, but this one is 10.1 inches. But the design is very similar like last year. It feels quite nice because we've got the metal back here and it's rounded a bit. Certainly feels a bit nicer than the Amazon Fire HD10, which is just plastic. On the bottom here, we've got 2 speakers, and on this side we've got a power button and a volume rocker, and they seem to be, I'm not 100% sure, but I think they're made out of plastic. The buttons here on the top, not much, and on this side we've got a 3.5mm headphone jack, and that's quite important again because on the MediaPad M5, the higher end series, Huawei decided not to include a standard headphone jack in the tablet, which was really strange. But anyway, with the cheaper one, we've got a 3.5mm headphone jack. Then we've got a microSD card slot here, and you can get an LTE version, and then there will be a SIM card slot as well. And then we've got a micro USB port, so no USB Type-C yet. However, in this price point, pretty much all tablets have micro USB. For USB Type-C, you usually have to pay at least $300 US. Alright, and that's it. Let's take a look inside the rest of the box. We've got a standard charger here, and then what else? We've got a SIM and eject tool, or in this case a micro SD card eject tool. And let's open it up over here. There we've got a cable, and that's the standard USB 2.0 to micro USB cable. As I said, no USB Type-C here. And then we've got a warranty card and then a quick start guide in several languages. And that's it. Now let's turn on the tablet and check out the software and a bit the performance. Alright, I'm back. I connected the Huawei MediaPad T5 10 to my Wi-Fi and my Google account, and I already installed a couple of benchmarks just to test the performance a bit. And yeah, now we can take a closer look at the screen first. As I said earlier, it's a 10.1-inch screen and it's an IPS panel with pretty good viewing angles, and it has a full HD resolution of 1920 by 1200. And the screen is laminated, at least I think so, because, well, there's no noticeable air gap between the touchscreen and the IPS panel, so it really seems to be laminated, and it's certainly smaller than on the 2018 iPad. So the screen is, seems to be pretty nice. It's certainly bright enough. It's not the brightest screen out there, but yeah, it's in the, let's say, upper half. Certainly bright enough. Nothing special, but it seems to be bright enough. A full HD resolution on 10 inches is always pretty good. If you are looking very closely to text with your eye, put it very close to your face, then you might see something not being super sharp. But if you're holding it in a normal distance, then the screen seems like perfect, nice and sharp. Colors look nice. So it's a nice compromise if you don't want to spend as much money as on a Huawei MediaPad M5, for example, or higher tablets with higher resolutions like the Samsung Galaxy Tab S4. Full HD I think is a good compromise on a 10-inch tablet. Alright, that's about the screen. Now let's take a look inside the tablet. Inside runs a high-silicon Kirin 659 octa-core processor, and that's a chip manufactured by Huawei. And together with that we get 2 GB of RAM or 3 GB of RAM and 16 GB or 32 GB of internal storage. And in Germany you can only get the 3 GB and 32 GB one, and that's the one I have. So out of those 32 GB are 22 GB free out of the box before you install anything. So yeah, quite a lot is taken up by the system already. And the processor here is pretty good actually. I ran Geekbench 4 already and got 938 points in the single core test and 3,765 points in the multi-core test. And with that, it's much better than the Huawei MediaPad T3 10 from last year. So they improved a lot considering with the performance here. And it's also much better than tablets from last year that cost around $200 US. And actually also better than most tablets that cost around $300 US, except iPads, obviously, but Android tablets. So that's certainly nice. And the same goes for Antutu. Considering the price, the performance here is pretty good. I'm expecting the performance to be similar with the Samsung Galaxy Tab A 10.5 that will be released in a couple of days from now. The performance should be pretty similar to that. At least that's what I'm expecting. I haven't reviewed it yet. So the performance is pretty good. It should be fine for almost everything, including games. I'm also expecting that it can run PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds Mobile. I will definitely try that for my final review. Let's take a look at the software a bit. On here runs Android 8.0 Oreo, and we can quickly confirm that in the settings here it's Android Oreo, and on top of it runs the EmotioUI in version 8.0 as well. And the EmotioUI is the own interface from Huawei, and as you can see, Android is customized quite heavily. For example, the app drawer is just gone. Don't worry, you can get it back in the settings, and everything looks heavily customized. You can customize it yourself a lot in the settings as well. You can download different themes, and there are also tons of apps pre-installed, pretty much all Google apps. Then we get a calendar, a tablet manager. The tablet manager is not too bad. Don't worry too much about the cleanup stuff and the virus scan, but what's interesting is the battery menu here. First of all, you see some details about your battery, but you can also turn on power saving mode and something called smart resolution. So the tablet will lower the resolution a bit depending on what you're doing to save battery, and that's certainly interesting. Other apps that are pre-installed are Notes app, a file manager, a game suite, top apps like Netflix, eBay, a children's corner, some games, some tools like a clock, a sound recorder, a calculator, a music app, a weather app. Then we've got Microsoft Office apps, Facebook and Booking.com, and I installed those benchmark apps. So there's quite a lot pre-installed. If you're getting a tablet from Huawei, my advice is always to go through the settings and look at everything, because there's a lot to customize. For example, here you can get the app drawer back if you want to. If you don't want everything to be on the home screen, you can have the app drawer back. And yeah, there are a lot of settings like that. We've got the same battery saving settings here. And yeah, it's really quite a lot. And something in specific that I noticed, first of all, I made the text size too small, because when I was browsing in Chrome a bit, which works completely smoothly by the way, I noticed that everything looks a bit zoomed in, especially, the bar here on the top. It looks just too big. It takes up too much of the screen, much more than on other 10-inch tablets. And even the website here, which is my website, it looks a bit too zoomed in. For example, they don't show the menu here. It's like on a smartphone, which shouldn't be on 10-inch tablets. The reason is that there's something missing in the display settings. I've got the Huawei MediaPad M5 here next to me, and it has something called view mode, which you can set to small, which I did. And then everything looks like on most Android devices, like I would say normal text size and so on, normal icon size and so on. But that menu in the settings is missing on the MediaPad T5, and I hope they will put it back in, because compared to most other devices, everything here looks just a bit too big. Obviously, if you like it that big, then it's fine. But yeah, it just looks a bit too big. That's always the case with the Huawei tablets. I always have to set it to small, and then it looks like on other tablets. Just something to note. I noticed that it is missing because everything looked a bit too big. Yeah, otherwise my first impressions so far are pretty good. The performance seems to be pretty good, pretty great for the price. Obviously I have to do a gaming test. The display seems nice. It's obviously not as high resolution as the MediaPad M5 series or the Galaxy Tab S4, but Full HD on 10-inch is pretty good. The build quality is pretty good as well. I like that we've got a bit of metal here, and it feels a bit nicer than the Amazon Fire HD10, which is still a direct competitor, because the Fire HD10 is a great value for the money. 10-inch tablet, Full HD resolution, laminated screen, nice performance, and very cheap. But there's a bit of a difference. For example, the Fire HD10 is much larger here. It's just a bit smaller on this side, but larger here. It's a bit longer, I would say. And well, the Fire is just plastic, and yeah, you can see it especially, but also feel it, that it feels more like, I would say toyish compared to the MediaPad T5, so that's an advantage. In some benchmarks, the MediaPad T5 is faster, and we can get it with LTE, which is not the case with the Fire HD10. So just a small comparison there. And another comparison that I will do in the future is with the Huawei MediaPad M5 Lite 10, which I haven't unboxed yet. This one has almost identical hardware to the MediaPad T5. However, we've got 4 speakers here, a fingerprint scanner, and what else do we have? An optional stylus, that's right. So that's certainly interesting, but the internal hardware is the same. This one costs $299, the other one starts at $199 or $329. Another direct competitor to this one is the just announced Lenovo Tab M10. I haven't seen it yet because it's literally just announced today. They will show it in a couple of days at IFA. And that one should have pretty similar performance, similar display. Actually, everything is very similar. I'm not sure if it will have a full plastic body. They didn't say in the press release. It might have a plastic body only. Maybe it has a glass back, like the Lenovo Tab 4 Plus from last year. We'll have to see. That will certainly be a direct competitor to this. So if you want to shop around a bit, take a look at the Lenovo Tab M10 as well. Alright, these are my first impressions and an unboxing of the Huawei MediaPad T5. I will start my review now. This is not a review video, that's just an unboxing and first impressions, hands-on. So yeah, check back in a couple of weeks, and chances are when you're watching this that my review is up already. And you can always go on mynexttablet.com, and there's a section called The Best, where I give my current recommendations. I always update it if I review a tablet and think that it is the best in a certain category. So this might be in it or might be not. You will certainly see it on mynexttablet.com. And yeah, I'm NJ for mynexttablet.com. If you have any questions, write me down below. Thanks for watching.